What happens when a Viking prince witnesses his father's murder and spends his entire life plotting the most brutal revenge in cinematic history? Picture this: a small Viking kingdom where a young prince named Amaleth lives an idyllic life with his father, the king, and his mother. This isn't your typical fairy tale, because we're about to dive into one of the most visceral and mythologically rich revenge stories ever put to film. The story begins with Amaleth participating in a coming-of-age ritual with his father, a ceremony involving howling like wolves and acting like wild beasts to connect with their primal nature. It's here that his father reveals the truth about being a king, that nobles are just men, and only their actions define their worth. But this tender moment between father and son is shattered when Amaleth's uncle Efjalnir arrives with his warriors and brutally murders the king in a coup. Young Amaleth watches in horror as his father is killed, and even worse, he sees his mother Gudrun seemingly willingly go with Efjalnir, apparently betraying everything Amaleth believed about his family. In a moment that will haunt him forever, Amaleth barely escapes with his life, fleeing into the night as his childhood home burns behind him. He makes a blood oath that will define the rest of his existence. He will avenge his father, save his mother, and kill Efjalnir. Fast forward 20 years, and that scared little boy has transformed into something barely human. Amaleth has become a berserker, a mythical Viking warrior who fights in a trance-like state of pure rage and violence. You see him participating in a raid on a Slavic village, and the brutality is unlike anything you've ever witnessed. These aren't choreographed fight scenes. This is raw, animalistic violence that shows what these warriors were truly capable of. The camera doesn't shy away from the horror, showing us a man who has molded himself into a weapon of pure vengeance. But fate has a plan for Amaleth. A seer tells him that his path to revenge will soon reveal itself, and sure enough, he discovers that Efjalnir has lost his kingdom and now lives as a farmer in Iceland with Gudrun and their children. This is Amaleth's chance. He disguises himself as a slave and gets himself sold to Efjalnir's farm, beginning an elaborate infiltration that will test everything he believes about justice, family, and destiny. Once on the farm, Amaleth realizes that his quest for revenge is far more complicated than he imagined. Efjalnir, the man he's hated for decades, is no longer the powerful king who killed his father. He's become a bitter, broken farmer who lost everything when he was exiled from the kingdom. More shocking still, Amaleth discovers that his mother Gudrun wasn't the victim he thought she was. In a devastating revelation, she tells him that she actually orchestrated his father's death because the king was a tyrant who kept her prisoner. She reveals that Efjalnir is actually Amaleth's real father, and everything Amaleth believed about his life was a lie. This revelation nearly breaks Amaleth's spirit, because his entire identity was built on avenging a father who apparently deserved to die and saving a mother who never wanted to be saved. But the film doesn't let either Amaleth or the audience off that easily. While on the farm, Amaleth encounters Olga, a Slavic sorceress who becomes his ally and eventually his lover. Through her, he begins to see possibilities beyond revenge, the chance for a different life, maybe even happiness. Olga represents everything Amaleth could have if he abandoned his quest for vengeance, but she also understands the power of fate and doesn't try to stop him from fulfilling his destiny. Mythology woven throughout the story becomes increasingly important as Amaleth retrieves a magical sword that can only be unsheathed at night or in the gates of hell. This isn't just a weapon, it's a symbol of his destiny, a tool forged specifically for his revenge. The film brilliantly blends realistic historical elements with supernatural Norse mythology, creating a world where fate and free will constantly battle for control. As Amaleth's plan unfolds, the violence escalates to mythic proportions. He systematically destroys Efjalnir's family, killing his sons in ways that mirror ancient Viking traditions. But each act of revenge costs him more of his humanity, and we watch as the innocent boy who fled his burning home disappears entirely, replaced by something that might not even be human anymore. The psychological toll of his quest becomes evident when Amaleth realizes that Olga is pregnant with his child, and suddenly he faces an impossible choice: continue his path of destruction, or break the cycle of violence and start a new life. The climax takes place at an active volcano, where Amaleth and Efjalnir engage in a final battle that's both intensely personal and mythologically significant. Naked and primal, they fight like the ancient warriors they are, with the gates of hell literally opened beneath them. This isn't just a fight between two men, it's a battle between different interpretations of honor, different ideas about what it means to be a king, and different approaches to dealing with the past. Film's ending is both triumphant and tragic, showing that some forms of justice require the ultimate sacrifice. Amaleth achieves his revenge, but the cost is everything he could have had: his future, his happiness, and his life. As he dies, he has a vision of his descendants, suggesting that while his story ends in violence, he has secured a future for those who will come after him. What makes this revenge story so powerful is how it refuses to provide easy moral answers. Amaleth's quest is both heroic and horrifying, justified and senseless, fated and chosen. The film doesn't glorify violence, but shows its true cost, demonstrating how the pursuit of vengeance can transform someone into the very monster they sought to destroy. Cinematography and production design create a world that feels both historically authentic and mythologically charged, with every frame dripping with the harsh beauty of the North Atlantic landscape. What did you think of Amaleth's choice? Was his revenge worth the ultimate sacrifice, or should he have chosen love over vengeance? Let me know your thoughts below, and subscribe for more epic movie breakdowns that dive deep into cinema's most complex characters.